Kyiv is on high alert today, with the U.S. now saying that the embassy there is temporarily closed over concerns that Russia might launch a, quote, significant air attack against the Ukrainian capital.
Russia says 6 of the ATACMS missiles were fired into the Berdyansk region, with 5 fully intercepted by air defences.
With Vladimir Putin appearing to threaten to use nuclear weapons if Ukraine fires American-made missiles into Russia, the Kremlin saying the doctrine was updated in response to what it calls the new situation.
What's good, YouTube? Welcome to Visible Truth Media. Ukraine and Russia have been locked in a deadly conflict since 2022. The headlines dominated the news, but why should we care? When I say we, I mean us. I want to give you all a welcome back to the channel. Today we are breaking down this Ukraine and Russia conflict, why it started and why it matters to all of us. Let's get into it. Before we get started, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. First, we're going to look into some context. I'm trying to make this simple. Well, a lot of people that I actually know are not aware of what's going on in Russia and Ukraine and why it's actually important to us. Ukraine was a part of the Soviet Union until it collapsed in 1991. After gaining independence, Ukraine began aligning more with the West countries like the United States and those in the European Union, while Russia wanted to maintain its influence over its former Soviet territories. The tension came to a head in 2014 when Russia annexed Crimea, part of Ukraine, and supported separatists in eastern Ukraine. Fast forward to 2022, Russia launched a full-scale invasion of Ukraine, citing sectarian concerns and historical claims to the territory. This conflict isn't just about land, it's about power, identity, and geopolitics. Russia views NATO, the Western military alliance, as a threat. Ukraine, on the other hand, wants to protect its sovereignty and move closer to Western democracy. What's the result? One of the largest wars Europe has seen since World War II. So to break it down, you got to look at it like this. Let's just use the state like Texas. Let's say the state Texas, and we're using Texas because Texas kind of already do their own thing, and I think they want to be their own nation anyway, or country, however you want to put it anyway. But let's just use them for an example. So let's say Texas wanted to be their own nation, and the US, the United States, says, okay, you can do that. Boom. We give Texas their own sovereignty. Texas doesn't like what we're doing in the US, and they want to align with what's the closest, I guess the closest country to Texas, let's just say Mexico. Mexico is Russia in this example here. Texas wants to team up with Mexico and allow Mexico to come on and have pretty much Mexican military in Texas, watching the US, to put it into perspective. The US would not be down with that because at the end of the day, that's still US land, even though they gave them their sovereignty. So long story short, that's how Russia is looking at Ukraine when Ukraine is trying to do things with the West, which is, us. So the question is, why should we care as the Black community? Why does this matter to us? For starters, this war has global consequences. And here's how. I'm gonna give you 3 reasons. The first reason is economic fallout. This war disrupted global supply chains, especially for food and energy. Did you know that Ukraine and Russia are major exporters of wheat, sunflower oil, and natural gas? Many African Americans and Caribbean countries rely on these imports. When the war started, prices skyrocketed, leading to food insecurity in nations that were already struggling. Number 2 is a refugee crisis. Millions of Ukrainians fled their homes, which is heartbreaking at the same time. I couldn't even imagine how that is being in a situation like that. But let's talk about the racial disparities and how refugees were treated. Early in the war, Black students and workers in Ukraine faced discrimination while trying to escape.
The African Union has said it's disturbed by reports that Africans are being refused the right to cross borders as they try to flee the conflict in Ukraine. Hundreds of thousands of people have been scrambling to leave Ukraine following a Russian invasion last week. But reports have emerged that Africans, many in the Eastern European country for their studies, are being treated differently and are sometimes prevented from leaving. Several have shared videos and testimonies on social media denouncing discrimination at train stations and border posts. Reuters has not been able to authenticate the videos. On Monday, a statement from the African Union said that unacceptable dissimilar treatment would be shockingly racist and a breach of international law. At Ukraine's border, Congolese student Prince Ongale is one of those who's made it to safety. But he does say the reception he received in Poland was more difficult than his 350-mile journey to get there from Ukraine's capital, Kyiv.
There was a bit of jostling and we were being shoved back and all that. But things went well. We managed, thank God.
Fellow student Ellie Boma says they were not offered shelter and forced to stay outside in the cold.
Can you imagine that? We as a people already deal with racism in this country already. Imagine being in Ukraine dealing with racism while a war is happening. It's literally a life or death situation. Now you can say that has nothing to do with us. When I say us, I mean the African Americans, but hey, black is still black. Videos surfaced showing African American migrants being blocked at borders, raising questions about racism and international crises. The third reason is military and political implications. Countries are pouring billions into this war. That's money that could be used to address issues like poverty, healthcare, and climate change, which disproportionately affect black communities globally. Plus, when powerful nations focus on war, issues in Africa and in the US, racist issues often get ignored. So what can we do? I'm just bringing awareness to it. We have to literally focus on what's going on. Right now, we are in a real weird time. It's not safe to say certain things on the internet, and I think you all know what I mean by that. I'm not trying to say triggering words so the algorithm can, block my videos anyway, How can black communities engage this crisis? Here are some ideas. When I say some ideas, this is literally like we should be teaching our kids this. We should be talking about this in our households, right? Here's 3 quick things we can do. Stay informed. That's number 1. Don't rely just on the mainstream media. Follow independent journalists and global perspectives, including African and black news outlets, to understand how this conflict affects marginalized communities. So number 1, stay informed. The time is happening. I'm not trying to get too biblical. I'm not trying to jump into no conspiracy theories. Number 1, stay informed. Number 2, advocate for equity. Call out racism when you see it. The discrimination faced by African migrants in Ukraine was unacceptable, and we need to demand accountability from the international organizations. This shit is happening. You understand? So advocate for equity. Stay informed and advocate for equity. The last one is support humanitarian efforts. If you can donate to charities helping vulnerable populations, not just in the Ukraine, but in regions affected by the economic ripple effects of this war, do it. Or look into it, or use your influence. This is what the actual social media gurus or people should be talking about, but no one's talking about. We all worried about what's going on in the news in the hip hop industry, from Diddy and Lil Durk getting arrested and everything like that. But we really need to lock in and focus on what's going on. The shit's about to get real. At the time of this recording, I think Ukraine sent missiles into Russia, 6 missiles to Russia, and I think it was today. I'm recording this. I think it was today or yesterday. Russia fired back, and they're using a dangerous word, nuclear. I'm not trying to say nothing to scare people or nothing like that, but we need to be prepared for anything that can happen. Just getting real. Keep your eye on what's going on. You see when the Russian president came out with, that vault. I'm gonna show y'all the clip. Here go the clip right here.
The political move on behalf of Putin. He wants to keep the church on his side in this war by showing his respect to the religious institution. The West claims that Putin is framing the war as a battle for the survival of Russia.
Was it a reason for that? I don't know. I'm not even saying I'm a religious person or anything like that. I find myself to be more spiritual. You guys let me know what you think. I know all races actually watch this channel. I try to focus on my people, but let me know how this is affecting your community. Let's talk about it in the comments. And always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.